Hey, how's it going guys, Kaptain Kuba here, and welcome to my last video regarding the bird in Helheim. Ever since we saw this bird in God of War 2018, fans have been fascinated about his role in the story. A while back, I uploaded a video giving my idea on who this bird could possibly be. Most people think this bird is Helheim Bird, the bird that's responsible for providing the winds of hell. But I think this bird could actually be Hel itself, Jormungandr and Fenrir's sister. Now I know some of you are going to raise the objection that in Norse mythology, Hel has the appearance of a woman and a zombie. And to this objection, I always point to the fact that Santa Monica takes a lot of liberties with the mythologies they use for their games. So maybe the reason Santa Monica chose to make Hel a giant bird is because they wanted to give Loki's children a similar aesthetic, that aesthetic being giant animals. But once again, I know the most popular theory and the most reasonable one is that this bird is none other than Helheim Bird. But the identity of the bird is not what I'm here to talk about. There's countless of these videos on YouTube and I frankly don't feel like making another one. Instead, I'm here with a more pressing question. One that a lot of you guys have asked me. How will Santa Monica turn this bird into a boss fight? Because as I'm sure you know, Santa Monica had originally planned this bird to be a boss fight, but due to time constraints and lack of resources, the fight with the Helheim Bird was cut from the final game. So I think it's a safe assumption to believe instead of the troll we fought in Helheim, we were originally going to fight the Helheim Bird and get the MacGuffin needed to save Atreus from his illness. But because this bird was cut as a boss battle from the final game, Santa Monica simply used his character modeled and turned him into a character that doesn't care whether Kratos or Atreus succeed. He's just there to flap his wings and provide air for the realm. Which is why I find it hard to believe that he will be a boss battle in the next game. So does that mean that all the work Santa Monica put into this boss battle is going to go to waste? Not necessarily. This happens a lot in game development. In God of War 1, David Jaffe had envisioned a different way in which Kratos would get on top of Kronos. But this gameplay sequence turned out to be too taxing on the PlayStation 2. So instead, Santa Monica went with a cinematic instead of a gameplay sequence. But this section did not go to waste. This would later resurface in God of War 3 when Kratos was fighting Kronos himself. So you see, all the work that Santa Monica did on this bird is not going to go to waste. It will somehow be back in God of War Ragnarok. The question is, how exactly? And unless Santa Monica can find a story justification for making the Helheim Bird suddenly an enemy to Kratos and Atreus, they will have to find someone else. And just like that, I have an urge to start talking about the mysterious bird found in many triptychs in the game. And it's true, this bird is quite mysterious. He's the only character in the triptychs that doesn't have a name with it, which means Santa Monica is keeping it under wraps. So instead, I'm gonna save this video topic for another time and instead discuss another idea on how Santa Monica can salvage the work they did with the original Helheim boss battle. And I think the answer to this question lies with the character of Odin himself. We all know Odin is the ruler of the Norse pantheon, and with his title comes a lot of impressive powers. Not only is he a formidable fighter, but he's also known to have shape-shifting abilities just like Loki does. And while listening to the 7th episode of the Lost Pages podcast, I was reminded of something Odin did with his shape-shifting abilities.
Enormous hands descended toward the pair of gods, as Odin and Tyr turned to flee, clearly outmatched by this host of giant foes. A hand with fingers the size of tree trunks reached to grasp the gods, but there was a sudden flash of light, as Odin transformed into a silvery hawk and flew deftly between the fingers of the enraged Jotun. Tyr cursed the Allfather's power, for he had no such command of transformation, and was quickly overcome by the Council of Giants.
That's right, in the God of War universe, Odin has the ability to turn into a giant bird. This is why I believe Odin would be the perfect character to take the lost mechanics of the original Helheim boss battle. I envision the fight with the Allfather as having 3 stages, just like Zeus had in the 3rd game. The first stage should be while Odin is riding his 8-legged horse Sleipnir. However, I don't think Sleipnir will end up like the barbarian's horse in God of War 2. You see, in Norse mythology, Sleipnir is the son of Loki. I predict that Atreus will use his connection to animals to persuade Sleipnir into knocking Odin off his back. This will in turn enrage the Allfather, and he will use his powers to turn into the giant bird mentioned in the Lost Pages podcast. But for the sake of spectacle, I think Santa Monica will make this bird much bigger than what they describe in the podcast. That way he can also fit the mechanics of the original Helheim boss battle. Now once Kratos and Atreus defeat him in his bird form, he will return to his normal form. And this will officially begin the final stage of the boss fight. Odin will summon his magical spear Gungnir, and the fight between 2 ancient gods will begin. But given that Odin always has a plan, I envision him somehow escaping his death. But if he does die, he will do something that ensures his victory even though it means his death. There's no way in Helheim that God of War Ragnarok will have a happy ending, and I'm sure Odin's schemes will be at the center of this dark ending, whatever they are. But there you have it guys, my idea on how Santa Monica could repurpose all the work they did with the original Helheim boss battle. If you like these videos where I propose an idea for a possible boss battle, make sure to let me know in the comment section below, as I had a ton of fun making this video. Now as always, I want to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. People like Unknown, Flores van Belthoven, Luis Gonzalez, the other Uchiha, Cannonball Raiders, Panburi Pratama, Kiltech Nord, Easy Plays, and many more. You guys are a big reason I can call YouTube my work, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know it doesn't seem like much, but trust me, it really does help put me in the algorithm. So with that said, thanks for watching, and remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarok.